Hey, John, are you going to join us for our
Hello.
podcast? Come and join us, John.
Yes.
Talking about creativity and innovation, we've got John Yu here. John, you want to stick on those
Should I put the headphones on?
Yeah, stick on
Okay.
those headphones and introduce
Yeah,
yourself.
hi.
Hello, everyone.
Hi,
Hello.
John.
Nice to meet you.
It's lovely to meet you. Hi, my name is Parrish. I'm a research student for St. Clair Innovation, and I run this podcast. I am the media personality, I guess.
Yes, yeah. And so we're really fortunate to have Parrish. He supports us across research and innovation to help us really punctuate some of the work that we do that can often get stuck in like statistical numbers. You know that more than anyone, John, right? And just to make it more creative in a way that it's appealing to everyday folks that we see in our community. So Parrish did have a couple of questions, so it'd be great, John, to get your insights on that.
Yeah.
I'd love to. Thank you.
So, John, could you please introduce yourself and your program to start, to give our audience a little bit of a
Thank you.
meet cute?
So again, thanks for having me, and nice to meet you. And my name is John Ulakovich. I'm the program coordinator for a postgrad program called Data Analytics. We offer a 2-year postgrad program. Many of our students come from so many different backgrounds. I think many people are surprised to hear. Some come with industry experience, some come from just undergrad programs, some with masters, some with PhDs, everything from engineering, computer programming, business, marketing, you name it. We've had students with math backgrounds, science backgrounds. Data is everywhere.
Yes.
So I think after people graduate and they're working in industry, they're finding that they're working with so much data and information all the time that they want to know about the tools and ways that they can, not just use the data, but make decisions.
Yeah.
So that's really the goal of our program, is to help in ways that industry has so much of that information, but a lot of times they don't know how to make decisions using it, or how they can make clear decisions. So we teach things like the tools like Power BI, Tableau. I don't know if the audience would know some of those tools. There is some programming, of course, some statistics, but these are all things that are valuable in cleaning, preparing the data, using it in ways to make it visual, so people can learn from it and understand it better. The old Excel spreadsheets don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
You have so many different data points, so much information coming in from so many different ways, cameras, audio, people don't even think about that. We think about data as only one thing, the old numbers and text, but our students do projects in so many different ways. We had one just yesterday. We were looking at, identifying people, and more like an attendance tracker or information where we look at facial recognition. Facial recognition's been around for a while, but now it's evolving in so ways that it can be done in very quick, efficient ways with very little computer resources. And our students are adapting and learning ways of collecting that information and being able to use it in meaningful. Today, for example, our data club is collecting survey information in real time and for the college, and that information is being used by the marketing administration to learn about who is coming to our open house.
Yeah.
Are they from high school? Are they adults coming in for retraining? Where are they from? So just looking at the data before I came here, we have a live dashboard over at the School of IT booth. So if anyone's interested in listening and they want to come and visit, we'd love to show you our the dashboard our students created.
I would love to see
And
that.
one interesting trend that's coming up, we noticed, we have a lot of visitors now from all over Ontario. Usually the catchment area for St. Clair College, a lot of times, was Chatham, Essex, Windsor, LaSalle, the general area. But one interesting trend that we just noticed, and seeing it visually, it's so meaningful, it's so powerful. We have a live map, and we actually can see that there's students from Toronto, Sarnia, Delhi, Hamilton, Niagara Falls, all over Ontario, which is very exciting. We've never seen so many students from outside of Windsor, Essex, coming to St. Clair College for our open house.
That's so interesting because I am not from Windsor, Essex. I'm from Guelph.
Interesting.
Yeah, I really love Windsor. I
Yeah.
think it's a really beautiful city.
Yeah.
And just so folks know, Rich has joined us, and maybe
Hello,
this
Rich.
maybe this is
Hello.
Oh, hi,
Oh,
Rich.
hello.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank
We're just building on what John just said, and I think that's really interesting. How do we capture information for everyday folks? And I think, Rich, this is a really good segue for you too, in terms of what is that visual representation when you're actually creating in the moment. What does that feel like, and are you particularly aware about a given audience? So Rich, you might want to introduce yourself and then maybe continue the conversation that John just started.
Yeah. So my name is Rich Garton, and I'm the manager of communications and public relations here at the college. And part of my job, it's almost like your function today is gathering data, so we have more information about where people are coming from, what programs they're interested in,
Yes.
all these data points that help inform decisions, right? Data-driven decision making is huge, especially when it comes to things like marketing a college. And so part of my job, more on the kind of the marketing and communication side, is content creation. And we try to tailor that content to meet those data points. So if we know that there's a lot of people coming from X area checking out X program, then we try and tailor our content to the people who are coming to check out those things. And so spreading the word really is my job about what is offered here at St. Clair College, the various programs that we have on offer, but also the student achievement, the strides we're taking in things like research and innovation, all the various community touch points that we have, the involvement that we have in the community. These are great stories to share, and I'm happy to be the one here with a big team of people sharing those stories.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, did you want to build on that, John? I think that's a really good word, content, right?
And storytelling.
And storytelling.
And that's actually one of the jobs that our students do very well, is there's always a story to tell behind that information, that data point.
Yes.
So that's what our students actually, their skill set allows them to do that. They're visualizing this information, making it more meaningful, making it simpler for people to understand. A lot of times in industry and business, people want to know things very quickly and efficiently. Going through like a chart or a table or a spreadsheet, it takes a lot of time but seeing it visually, it gives a lot more impact. And I know the research department has been utilizing the skill set of our students. We've had some great projects with research and innovation. And I think our students have actually been working in many different industries. People would think it's only more for in the IT sector or maybe business, but surprisingly, healthcare. We're starting to see a big increase. Some of our students are graduating, being hired in healthcare, in agriculture, in finance, in marketing, in every sector, and we're also attracting students from those sectors. So that's what's really exciting and interesting. I think that's what we're evolving actually as a program. And early on, I would say it attracted more of those people that were in IT mostly, in that sector. But now we're finding it's much more broad.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
And just to build on that, when we think about language, isn't that interesting that when we think about iterative curriculum, or for instance, like Rich is reaching out to the community and the type of language we use, how that language it manifests in our own minds, and then intergenerational differences. So something that I might perceive or understand a word to be a buzzword might be different to what Parrish kind of understands that. And I wonder how we're capturing that information apart from those day-to-day sort of dump of these are the activities we're doing, this is a lot of the work that we do out in the community. How are we actually gathering that as a pool of information to take us to the next level? What do we understand iteration to look like in the day-to-day work that maybe Rich, you do, and then you do, John, right? So maybe I'll ask you the first question, Rich, which is, what does iteration mean to you?
Oh boy, you really stumped me with a question here.
Yeah.
Well, actually, so
Keep you on your
data.
toes.
Okay.
Data, when I think data, I think math. I think numbers. When I think storytelling, I think words. And the cool thing about data is that it informs the storytelling, right? And so I actually taught a class 1 year called Data Storytelling, where we would go out and we would go on all these various places where you can find the data. So Statistics Canada was a great resource for us. And the students would go out and they would be in search of this data and build stories, and they could only tell stories that they found that were rooted in data. You can't go and ask somebody a question and come up with a story that way. You must find a data set, find the numbers, and tell the story that way. And it's actually becoming a huge trend in the journalism and the public relations world, is telling stories from this data, to a point where I feel like it's actually making numbers, for people who aren't numbers people, less scary, because they realize that data-driven, being informed by data, is actually the most meaningful way to get a point across. Whereas, being driven by maybe gut instinct might have been the way things were done in the past. Now we can actually go and look at the numbers, and we know people know how to take those numbers and make sense of them. I think that is one of the biggest lessons that I passed on to my students.
Yes.
And it's actually a great collaboration that can take place between departments.
Yes, I think we're seeing more and more of that because our students want to collaborate more as well because of that. And we've got such a diverse group of students, I would say, in our program and that's actually a great learning experience. When they're working with students that have different backgrounds, different experiences, it's more of what they get in the workplace. Not just, the student's learning the same subject, they have the same background. Now we're seeing that, someone with a business degree or worked in industry as a manager, now they're working with someone in IT and they're taking our program. It's interesting too that Richard talked about this, storytelling is a very critical thing. If you look recently, I was talking to students about what is the number one skill that employers are looking for nowadays. Communication always comes up. And even during our PACs, we have what are called program advisory committees. And our industry partners always say how critical communication is. Storytelling. That's what our skills, that's what the students are learning in our program. Being able to communicate well with something that's sometimes very complicated, difficult to understand. And we're making it simple and easy for people to use and to understand, and also to make better decisions.
That's wonderful.
I just shared with Rich, I just popped up the definition in the dictionary for iteration. And it's really interesting that without knowing it, you've just answered the question, right? So it actually says the repetition of a process or utterance.
Yeah.
So now if we hold the word utterance for a moment and we place that and give it some meaning with lived experience, which is what John to a certain degree is talking about, these experiences, these bodies that are coming and flowing in our spaces and sharing their stories. And how when we look at that, we look at our own course curriculums, or we look at maybe the potential interface of the work that Rich is doing, maybe it's topical stories in the community, how they actually are informing our work and evolving the way we understand it. So anything that we touch, we hold, we place, we listen to, that sensory experience is giving us this understanding that things are constantly shaping and changing the way, not only the way we're actually communicating this information to the wider audience, whether that's the student body, whether that's our community, but then also thinking about what comes next. How are we being relative and being honest in the work that we do for the college? Now, the college has been here for decades, and it has a huge presence in the community. Maybe you could share a little bit about your portfolios and how long you've been here. Now, I'm just a little baby, I've only been here over a year. So
Well,
go ahead.
I think John's been here the longest of the three of us.
I hear. Actually, I have a funny story because I sometimes go to meetings with some of our part-time faculty, and I always meet. It's great to see. I meet people in the community, and I meet the parents. Oh, you taught my son. Oh, you taught me when I was 10, 15, 20 years ago when I was here at the college. So it's great to see those faces, and they're doing so well. Like I started teaching here in many programs years ago. I am over 25 years, close to 30, I think now.
Wow.
I'm surprised too. Time has flown. When I first started. I was teaching math. My background is mathematics and computer science, and I think that's where the data part in me kind of lives. And I think I've seen and I've used that. I've kind of evolved from there. I was teaching math and some type of intro courses in computers or programming in almost every program in the school. I was in skilled trades. I was in IT for a while, engineering, any science programs. So it gave me a really great picture of things, of how people use math and computers in different programs and ways. And that's kind of involved. And then I was teaching in networking for a while. I do a lot of community work. I was involved in Skills Ontario and Skills Canada as a chair. And first of all, I was coaching for a while, won some medals with students. That was a great experience. I loved it so much that I started volunteering. So I'm currently, for the last 8 years now, chair of the Skills Ontario IT competition in Toronto. And also I co-chair and involved with Skills Canada. And I volunteer because I'm very passionate. I love teaching, and I love giving that experiential learning to students all over. And the things like that I do as well besides the teaching. I always reach out to industry partners and try to get projects for students. I started in computers a little bit over the years, and then eventually in 2018 we started up the data analytics program in our downtown campus, and that's where the history started. And it's been a great ride. Like, our program has changed over the years. It's grown, and like I said, it started off kind of small, and now we've got hundreds of students, and and we have a lot of great stories now to tell about our success of our students as well.
And that's one thing I've noticed, and it's not just John, but I'll speak about him specifically, is the passion that he brings to it, right? Like, he takes the time to offer this club for the students because he knows how much they'll benefit from it when they go through their studies. It's one thing to be in class and learn from a teacher while they're speaking in front of you, but to take that outside of the classroom and to actually apply it on your own time. They don't have to do that, and you don't have to do that, and the students don't have to do that. But I think collectively, that both of your experiences are better and more fulfilling when you take the time to do things outside of the classroom.
Yeah, I would agree. It's very rewarding. Like, I've been involved with clubs. We used to have, when I was in the networking program, we used to do what's called LAN parties. And at the time,
love LAN parties.
And it's, a funny thing about LAN parties, you could see now how gaming and the industry has completely changed. But back then, it was surprising. We would get 200 to 300 students over a weekend here at the college where the SRC is now. That area we would fill in. They would get $10,000, $15,000 in sponsorships, and it was an amazing experience. The students would spend all weekend playing games, but the experiential learning part was it would run like a business.
Yeah.
They had the IT infrastructure. They had server racks. They would set up the computers.
It's serious business.
It was
a LAN
very
party.
serious, and it was amazing learning. And I loved doing it with the students. I supported them all the way because I thought, wow, they're learning how to run a business. They're doing ticketing, collecting money. They're financing the expenses. They're buying food. They're marketing. They're doing the technical aspect of it. So it was like running a whole business, and all of the students really benefited from it. And it was one of our networking clubs. It was a club that started it originally, and I was supporting them for a while. And now it's turned into a whole program.
Yeah.
Now we have a great coordinator there running it, and they're winning championships all over. But LAN parties, that's where it started, right?
Yeah.
And then it grown from there.
Learning valuable skills by being able to organize like something of that caliber, especially with 200, 300 people. That's insane.
And people from all over, alumni,
Yep.
the U.S. came over. But as Richard said, that's the experiential learning part outside of the classroom. I think clubs is a great way, not just in IT, in data analytics or computer network.
Yeah.
Clubs are a great way for students to learn outside the classroom and get get some other experience, or even the research department.
Yes. Yeah,
is a
and
great way.
and I think that's one of the questions that we all kind of ponder on as the department, very much like Rich works across the college and the campuses, and it's kind of figuring out what that culture is. Where does that culture actually come from? Is it this? Is the iteration the culture? Is it the wisdom? Is it a bit of both? What is
all of
that energy, right?
I think it's all of those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
It totally is. I think there's, when you look at the faculty, you've got people like John who have been here for 25, 25 plus
20
years.
years, yeah.
You've got faculty who have been here for, just a handful of years. It's the fact that the faculty is tight knit. So like when you visit the various schools, the academic schools here at the college, you can tell that they exist like almost like a family unit, right?
Yeah.
And I think that it's contagious in a way, right? And when you visit the various, and I was a faculty member here, not a full-time faculty member, but a part-time member. But as a part-timer, I was invited into the family. We have these program advisory committees. We probably met about 3 times per semester as a point to talk about the students, talk about how the workflow is going, how can we collaborate with one another between the various programs within the academic schools. And it instills this sense of family that I think trickles down to the students, and the students notice it when the profs are walking around, talking to one another, collaborating with one another. It creates a more welcoming family environment for the students. So now they're more comfortable approaching the faculty with questions. And it's kind of like a feedback loop. It's very valuable for the students to feel comfortable, welcome, and at home when they're in their studies. I think that goes a long way.
It does, and I can't say, Rich, where you put it is perfect, because there's so many programs that was involved in over the years, and that was really the critical success, right? That knit, like even in data, we have amazing faculty. They're so supportive of our students, highly skilled, a lot of education experience. But the main thing is they reach out, they work closely with the students, and they support them, not just in the classroom, outside the classroom.
Yes.
They try to talk to them of any of the issues they're having, almost like family. And it warms, I just seen, yesterday I was at the store after work, ran into some students, and you see their smiles, and it's just something, it's just a warm feeling.
Yeah.
That they really care, like we care about them, and they also care about us. So that's a great feeling to have.
And
Yeah.
you get that with smaller classes too.
Yeah.
You do. And when we think about these marked spaces, so for instance, some of us are downtown, some of us in Chatham, some of us are here at the main campus, that's where we're here today. But how those spaces almost collapse and become one. Because we move through those spaces and we have, with intention, this identity. And it's, I've only been here for best part of a year. I was really fortunate to have Ralph on my early journey, but I really got to know the experience of St. Clair by just walking through the corridors and meeting with John Lopez and learning a little bit about some of the experiences that we want to bring and how we can immerse ourselves into this culture. And then it goes back to iteration. It's not just then an iteration of curriculum or the sharing of voices that we may have when we congregate in meetings. I think there's something else that we're tapping into, and often we're really proud of wearing our different T-shirts that we have from different schools and different colors, but that identity really seeps through a lot of the work that we do, and it seems to be like this one voice. And I don't know, Rich, what do you think? Is that something you experience when you go out and think about marketing? And
Yes, and I think the most important thing about that one voice, and by the way, Fridays are my favorite day of the week because we get to wear swag on Fridays, and I think it helps instill pride. And the best part of it is it's organic. Nobody's forced to take part in that. It's organic, and you walk around the college, and everyone's doing it. And that's an incredible thing, because when something's forced, you can tell.
Yeah.
When something's organic, it's real, it's authentic. And I think Saints Nation, the pride that people have being here and sharing the stories and teaching and learning, it's one big, I don't want to call it a bubble because it's not a bubble, but it's one
Yeah.
big family.
It's almost like a pond. like an ecosystem
Yes.
where we all have
Ecosystem's a great way to put it.
yeah, we all have our little tasks and our little projects and things like that. But as a whole, we are all still part of the pond. Like the weeds in the ground are the same as the ducks that are eating them. Sort
The circle of
thing.
life.
Yeah.
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 And what does that journey look like for you, Parrish? We've heard it from different perspectives, but did you want to share a little bit about your
Yeah.
journey and how that intersects with a lot of the narratives that we're sharing today?
I actually come from a teaching background. This is my second career in my life. I was a teacher for 3 years before I decided that I don't like being the fun police. The way that I my approach to learning and my approach to teaching was very much like let the student lead what they want to learn, and I will fill in the gaps. So if they wanted to learn stuff about, animals or the ecosystem, I would teach them that, and then also kind of shoehorn in math. I had a student who was really really liked baking. She was obsessed with it. She wanted to cook cookies all the time, and I was like, "Look, we are in French class right now. We cannot have." I'm just gonna turn your mic down a little bit because she's right behind you. Yeah. So I started making a lesson for my students that involved baking. We actually got to go and bake cookies, but I didn't give them any of the instructions. I gave them fractions. Figure out how to use these fractions into, baking. That's math. Different sorts of things. What I really love about St. Clair is it has the same approach. I'm in the advertising and marketing communications program, and I have learned so much about other programs in the school, other people, other projects that we're all doing, because the program itself is so integrated into the ecosystem, the pond of St. Clair. I can feel the advertising programs touches everywhere.
It really does.
Yeah, it's like a mold. It grows on everything for sticking with that ecosystem
Yeah.
metaphor.
And because I've interacted with your program a number of times, I know that to be fact.
Yes.
I know that to be fact. And I know your professors, and I know how engaged they are with both the students and with the world around us.
Yeah.
Their big thing is experiential learning, getting you out, entering you into competitions.
Yes.
Making you practice a case study, making you work on it for 12 weeks of a semester,
Yes.
and then going out and actually performing that case study in front of a group of industry professionals,
Yes.
where you're gaining networking. You're talking to the people who could be your prospective employer. You're learning things from them, so now that they're your mentors as well. And you're on the spot where you have to
yes.
actually
Improvise.
perform and
Yeah.
improvise and do all the things that you have to do when you start a job and you really don't know what you're doing, but you have to fake it till you make it.
Oh, yes.
Right? And those are invaluable skills to learn while you're in school instead of when you're on the job.
Oh my gosh, the resources that St. Clair has to offer, especially just talking to program leads, department heads, directors, things like that. Everybody has. You can feel the passion. You can feel how much they. I mean, just listening to you, John, it's electric to hear you talk about the things that you love, especially when it's something that I can't really relate to. I do not like math. I do not like numbers. I'm sorry, guys. But hearing you talk about them, it puts it in such a different perspective. It gives you a different spin on things. And maybe I don't perceive numbers as beautiful and data is beautiful, but it can create those stories. And we need those foundations to create further beauty.
It's a universal language too.
Yeah.
Numbers are universal. Everybody speaks that language.
Yeah, and I think also hearing Rich talk about all the great experiential learning that goes on at the college. I agree. I've been involved in so many programs, but that's a story that everyone can tell, and I think that's great for our students. Not just, we do good projects in the classroom, but giving that extra effort and showing students how they can apply it in the real world in different ways.
Yeah.
That really helps a lot. And we see that with all the programs here at the college. It's been, a great experience to see. And I think what's unique about St. Clair compared to others, because I've visited and worked with teachers from other schools across Ontario when involved in skills. And I think, we're a big school, but not too big. We're a small school, but not too small. But I think we feel that community more here,
Yeah.
the closeness that I didn't feel in other institutions when visiting. I think they know each other, but sometimes they're so big that I think they don't have that connection that we have, in our community, even in Windsor, Essex, right? Compared to the bigger cities.
So are we a big little college or a little big college?
That's a good question.
Between somewhere.
Or maybe we're something other than that. Maybe we're just still finding that new identity too, right? Because it's constantly evolving. Now I've got you around the table here, John, and I often think about or ponder this on a daily basis as a director of research innovation. How do we capture this wisdom for what we need to do in the future? Because essentially the work that we do is thinking about what's coming. Now
Predicting the future.
Yeah, predicting the future, or to a certain degree, how are we taking the data sets from the day-to-day work of what Rich does, what you do, looking at the perspective of students, as Parrish has mentioned as well, and then layering that with these conversations about artificial intelligence, generative intelligence, and the way we're going to begin to think about information like we did when we first logged onto the web, right? What do you imagine it to be? From the journey you've already taken for so many decades that you've been with us, where do you see this going? And how can research and innovation take St. Clair College to the next level?
That's interesting. I've been thinking about the same thing for a number of years, and even talking, like, this is a great experiential learning for the students and myself, even being at open houses. Like, I try to attend and I love meeting parents, I love meeting the students. One thing I notice sometimes, depends on, some students are homeschooled. Some students that come here with their parents, they come from different backgrounds, different schools, different communities. So I think we have to kind of adapt, with technology evolving, hybrid, where we can offer some of that as a portal or an online experience, like an introduction of some kind to help students understand some of our courses and how, AI is used everywhere. We talk about cybersecurity, we talk about data. How can we introduce in a friendly way students? And some of that might be involved, in visiting schools or talking to students, like here at the open house. Having some online courses or offering free courses for students. Interesting thing I did today, it seemed to be catching on. We have an industry partner with Cisco for many, many years. They've been a great, and I think we need more of those partners, like research and innovation partners.
Yeah.
Yes.
And one of the great things that they offer to us is free courses that students can take and get digital badges.
Ooh.
So it's kind of a way for them to learn, they're not getting a full program or experience from it, but, it's very interactive. They can learn about a subject. And if they're interested, they can come and, learn more from us and take our
Yeah.
programs.
Almost like a sampler for a program,
Yeah.
a program sampler.
Yeah, like try a
Appetizer.
trade.
Yeah,
Like
a little-
like Skills Canada,
Smart
actually
fun.
Skills Ontario is doing the same thing. Have a bus that's going around, try a trade, and it's visiting all the high schools.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, how can we do that better? As an IT program and an IT school, there's got to be ways where we can introduce these complex subjects or interesting subjects to students more. So I have a portfolio I put together with all of these free courses, self-enrolled, self-paced, free to take.
Yeah.
Open them all up, put it together. They can scan a QR code, they can take it with them, and they can learn about AI. They can learn about cybersecurity, and they can contact me if they want to learn more, and we can introduce them to some of our programs. I think we need more of that collaboration with industry. Like Cisco is a great partner, research and innovation, almost like a learning hub or a way we can collaborate, sharing data, sharing stories. Rich is doing a great job on social media, talking about these projects, sharing them with the community. One thing that we noticed also on our website on our data today that we've been collecting, part of the storytelling,
Yes.
is that our college website is trending really high.
Oh, I like to hear that.
So I'm wondering, well, what's the change?
Yeah.
Well, I see all these great stories all the time on social media, on our website. I think
You made me smile.
I think it's
That's
probably,
great to hear.
I think it's turning that momentum, and people, I mean, it's the highest, we've never seen it this high before.
Well, that's good.
It's usually Instagram or radio or some of the other
Yeah.
media platforms in the city, but it's part of the storytelling,
That's-
communicating, creating that
Yeah, and it's
the relationship.
It's collapsing those spaces. It's
Yes.
going into these hybrid worlds where
Yeah.
we are reaching beyond the spaces, the physical spaces that we walk, and maybe Rich could talk to that a little bit more. But to your point, if you go to our fund initiative page, we now have this mobile classroom that we've got. Where we're hoping to build out. So I'd love to talk to you a little bit more about that, John, where we are proactively, John, myself and Sonia, John Lopez, this summer working with industry partners and funders to get us on the road, because we've got two parts actually. We're looking to develop a pop-up clinic. So we're not just in this one space, but people can actually feel and understand what research is on campus. Then the second part of that is actually reaching out to the wider communities like your schools and building and equipping these so-called containers to get people excited about what's going on, whether that's hydroponics from our well-versed understood and very popular landscape program that we have here, as well as the greenhouse program, and then the work that you're doing, John, too. So this is like true collaboration here. But let's go back to what you had mentioned about the media stuff. So Rich, go ahead.
I like that plug. That's great. So when I got hired here, I think back to my job interview, and the words that I said were, there are so many incredible things that happen at this school, and most people who exist outside these walls don't know about it. We need to scream it from the rooftop. It's not a new strategy, okay? This is nothing groundbreaking, but we weren't doing it to quite the level that I thought was needed to really tell the stories. And it's very good. It's a warm feeling to know that it's actually having an impact, because what we're doing is we're creating a feedback loop with the community. Community is really important to everybody at St. Clair College, and I want the community to know that community matters to St. Clair
Yes.
College. We actually care about the community that we exist in. Windsor, Essex, Chatham, Kent. And the industry partnerships, not just industry, but community partnerships that we've forged over the many years that we've been involved in the community. Those things, sometimes they take a while. It's like a plant. It grows. It doesn't grow immediately. But the more you water it, the more you nurture it, the more it grows. And then it comes back again next year, and it comes back again next year. And so telling these stories about what we're doing, creating that feedback loop with the community, is imperative in building trust, in getting people here, showing them what we do and saying, hey, come be part of it. You can be part of the Saints family.
And I love reading them too.
Yeah.
I find myself going to the website more, and it's like, wonder what the next story is.
Yeah.
It's, wow, the students are doing this in marketing. They're doing this in,
Yeah.
it is very cool. I really enjoy those stories.
And they don't do it for recognition, but it's nice to get recognition.
It is nice.
It does feel good, doesn't it?
It's a little unexpected perk.
When you see your name printed, or you see a video of something that you've done, there is just a little kind of like, I feel warm. I feel like it's like you're giving yourself a little pat on the back. It's not boasty or braggy, and nobody's doing it for the sole purpose of recognition. But then when you see it, it's kind of validation. Like, yep, I'm doing something right. And that can be a really good feeling. And I'm glad people get that feeling.
Yeah, and just to build on that, when I first came here, I saw the course outline of all the courses, and it's all very strategic on a piece on this paper. But what happens is these stories come alive, and so there's visibility with purpose. There's meaning behind it, right? It's intentional, and I think when we're authentic in what we do, then it seeps through, whether it's through all those senses, right? Whether it's we vocalize them, whether we're doing it through imagery, whether we're doing that through performance. and then having very different experiences at any given time, but then they still become collective. That's really interesting when we think about that. So, John, over the years that you've been here, how do you see us, where do you see us going next? What do we need to do more of? And Rich has kind of talked a little bit about the amplification of that work.
Yeah, I think that's a great start, and I think that more of that collaboration between different schools, like you're mentioning, you're creating a hub and a way to communicate that as well from your department, and I see the great work that research is doing as well, and I think that's really we should be showcasing those things, and I know, students still want to be in the classroom. They want to learn from educators and get that experiential, that learning. And I think, we have to adapt too. The world has changed a little bit. We have people that are sometimes working at home, sometimes they're working in person, and there's that hybrid thing. I think that's one way. But also, people I think are sometimes negative or against that, the fact that they might have to work or study from home. But that's another way we can communicate. We can share data. We can collaborate more. We can use this technology in a positive way to get the word out. And just like through social media, through our website, through online learning, different portals, sharing that data, sharing the work we're doing, I think we can do a lot more of that. And industry, I always thought when I first came and downtown and started working with data analytics as a program, I thought, wouldn't it be great one day if we can somehow get that collaboration in one place, sharing of industry data, sharing of stories and things, where our students can actually use them in the classroom. I think we're moving to that direction.
Yes, yeah, and then just building on that at a very micro level, John. That's really interesting, and so thank you so much to Rich and John for sharing their insights, your wisdom, and maybe at some point we can pick this conversation up in a few months and see where we're at.
I would love that. And the other thing I love is that I feel like we have these conversations all the time.
Oh, we do.
They just happen. And that's the other thing I love about this place is that people talk to one another. You're walking through the halls and it's not like, sup. It's like, hey, how you doing? What are you working on?
Yeah.
Tell me about your latest project. Or, that's the part I love is that we actually care about each other.
Yes.
We're excited to learn about the
Yes.
innovation that
Yes.
that the other people are doing in our community,
Yeah.
our college.
It's very real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Happy Saturday.
Thank you for
Saturday.
having us.
Thank you for,
Please take a token
I want a little
courtesy
microphone.
of our 3D printer.
Oh, thank you.
It says Saint Research Podcast, so you'll never forget this wonderful time.
I'm going to put this up on my
great.
board right next to the National Post article.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
John, I don't know if you saw us on the National Post, but there's a card there, so you can take one of those.
Yes,
thank
very,
you.
very professional looking.
Oh, that's great. I would love to. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank
Thank
you.
you so much
Thank
for
you.
attending.
Happy Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you.